Well, Logos has been out for a year in their new era. They're subscription-based, using more AI model. And the question is, how is it doing? Is it worth continuing, or is it not panned out well? Well, to jump right into the answer, for me, it has 100% been worth it. And so in this video, I want to do kind of a review, an updated review, going into the end of 2025, how Logos has been over the last year, and then let you know about the new feature that they just dropped, which is really cool and enhances the smart search even more. So starting off, for me, it was a no-brainer. I was definitely going to renew Logos because Logos Pro has been a massive help for me in my ministry, in my Bible study. It's been a big tool, and the subscription has been worth it. So the features they've added have been things that I've really been using, and then the model where they update more often has been something that worked for me really well, and I think added the value that I was paying for. What's changed over the last 1 year? A lot of it has been small stuff, and I think this is pretty smart. I think if they had gone with massive updates every 6 months, you wouldn't have seen that subscription value, but also it would have been harder to adjust what's going on. And that's how it was with their previous, annual updates. Is it would always bring in a ton of new stuff, and you would kind of be working to catch up. The regular pace has made it that you don't have as many big changes, so it's really easy to kind of appreciate each new change as it comes out, and it doesn't change your workflow that much, but it just gradually improves it over time. For example, the Factbook has improved a lot. Let me pull this up. Since a year ago, the Factbook has changed. One of the things they've done is they've added all of these lenses so that when you go to one thing, you can just see whatever. So here I'm in just like 1 Chronicles chapter 10. This is a book of the Bible. You would, a year ago, not have expected too much here, but they've added all of these tabs. They've added in the most recent update these questions to ask, which is AI generated. You can see your commentaries. You can see people's, places, things. So if your example, we could click on Saul and come over to him. And so the Factbook has improved a lot, and it's just easier to work with to kind of see the different sections, how they've pulled stuff in. And so there have been numerous updates that have just tweaked the Factbook and kept improving it step by step to the point that a year in, it's a lot better than it was when we started. So Factbook is one huge improvement. Search is another one where they have been improving a lot. So they had started with adding the smart search, and they've fine-tuned that even more. They've added the Bible Smart Search over the last year, and this is super helpful. It gives you a different type of way to search the Bible. So the precise search, the one we're used to, allows you to get really specific with what you're looking for. But the Smart Search lets you go the other way. Like, let's say there's a memory verse that you're trying to remember, and you don't exactly know what it was, but you kind of got the idea. It'll be really good for pulling stuff like that. Or if you're looking for themes, or even, like if you were to search Jesus in the Old Testament. This is something that you cannot do with a precise search. It's really helpful. I love this feature. They've also improved searching in your books in your Bible. So they have improved right here the ability to search, that you can search here in your Bible, and you can do that with a smart search or a precise. So the Bible Smart Search is a big feature update. Adding this search here to your books really improves what's already there, and then just continuing to improve the look and feel and how easy it is. This is good stuff. Another feature that I really love, and it's just an example of what this model brings, is these kind of smaller, helpful things more often, is look at this right here. This is now an opportunity that you can turn on to display your sermons in the Bible you're reading. So here I'm in this Bible, and I look, and right here I've got a sermon that I'm working on. And so as you go through later, all of your sermons in your sermon library, when you're scrolling through Scripture, when you're reading, you can see any time that you have preached on that before. You can click on that and open it up. Boom. So that is a super cool feature that is really helpful to me. And they've just introduced a lot of these. So I think other users are going to find some other features that they're going to use. But a lot of the updates have been in this area, like of search, of Factbook, of visuals, of mobile, and it's just been continual improvement. So with that said, it has totally been worth it. I have really been enjoying the update schedule and thinking it's been bringing a lot of value. Now, let's look at the most recent update and look at one feature in a little more detail. And this is a pretty big one that they have been excited to launch. I've seen it described as Logos becoming more like a proper AI chat, and that is partially true, but I want you to set your expectations right. It is not adding ChatGPT functionality to your Logos. It's adding one specific thing. So that is the feature Study Assistant, and so let's go ahead and pull that up and see how we can use that. The first way we can do it is just in the new tool itself. So if we come here to Tools and we see Study Assistant, and we can open that Study Assistant up. And let's do a new one. And you can see this is what Study Assistant looks like. And so this is similar to a search window. You can tell it looks a little different. And when you open up, you're going to type your question in right here. And you've got two options right now. You've got Your Books and All Books. All Books may give you a better answer, but I never use this because I don't really want to see an answer from a book that I can't click on to read. So I always stay in Your Books. I'm hoping that in a future update, they're going to make this so you can search your collections or tags like you would be able to with a smart search. This lets you get a lot more specific with what resources you are searching and makes it far superior in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to that update. But for now, you can search Your Books, and then you can ask any kind of question you would ask in the Smart Search. And these are all going to be biblical, theological questions. So you can't ask questions like write me a sermon or prepare a poem or the type of stuff that you could do in ChatGPT. It's really all about asking questions where the AI is going to analyze your resources in your library and then provide an answer. So let me pull up a couple example questions and we'll see how we can use it. So I was teaching on 1 Chronicles 10 about the death of Saul. So one question we could ask is, how does Chronicles view Saul? So we're just looking at the book of Chronicles and how Saul is portrayed. You can see it's going to work on the answer, and then it's going to provide an answer with some links that we can look at. So here we go, and we can see the answer right here. And they use the word paradigmatic, which is pretty cool. And they've only pulled from two sources. If I could improve this, if there's something that Logos could do, I would like it if their answers would always give you at least three minimum sources that they're pulling from. Just increases how helpful it's going to be. But we can see the answer right here, and you could pause that if you want. And the answers are usually pretty good. And before, this would be the end of it. You would just have to ask a new question or whatever. But now we can go ahead and ask a follow-up question here. We're going to continue the conversation. So I'm going to ask, how does this differ from other books of the Bible? So we're going to contrast this with like Samuel or other books of the Bible that talk about Saul. And here we can see our answer, and it's pulling from slightly different works. I wish they would, again, pull more. I'd love it if they pulled in something from Mentor Commentary or something I have in my library that has good info on this. But it's two good starting places, and we could always click on any of these and open them up and see what it says. And you can see it highlights where the answer is drawing from. So pretty handy. And let's ask one more follow-up, and then I'll show you how ChatGPT is a little different. I actually pulled this question from what ChatGPT does. So I could ask this follow-up question looking for theological emphases that we see about Saul in Chronicles. And so let's see how that answer works. And you'll notice that in my question, I searched for 4 theological emphases. And this is something you can do. You can ask for lists, like list ways that this happens. So you don't just have to ask what questions or why or how. You can give more specific things like list 4, and that's the format that they answered in. So little pro tip, let's look at the answer. And you see that they provide these 4 themes, and they're drawing from 3 sources this time, a little bit better. You can see that it gave us a very good answer right here. And all of these, unfaithfulness, spiritual disobedience, failure to seek God, divine judgment, are good emphases. And so it's a pretty good answer to the question. And you can see as you get more creative, as you kind of learn how it works, you can get more out of this tool. But this is where I want you to set your expectations. It's quite different from ChatGPT. So let me pull up a window with ChatGPT and see how it would answer this same question. So here we are in a ChatGPT window, and you see I asked, how does Chronicles view Saul? Same question I asked to start with in the Logos Smart Search. And look at this, the answer is much longer and it includes a lot more type of stuff. So just to remind you that in the Logos answer, we had, let's take a look at this. In the Logos answer, this was the answer to that question, right? It's just 2 paragraphs and it's got a couple links in our library that we can click on. By contrast, ChatGPT gives us a much more robust answer. So you can see they have overall, they talk about 1 Chronicles 10, the passage itself, and what's not included. Here we have these theological emphases, and I think this answer is probably actually a bit more robust. And then they emphasize language here from the text itself. They have a chart contrasting, which is really nice, and then a summary. Of the two, ChatGPT offers a better answer itself. And then the follow-up ability would be a little bit more impressive as well, because you could ask it to do different things. Like, for example, you could say, could you create a blog post based on this? Right? Very simple, very easy, and it's going to give you something. You can't do this in Logos. Logos is not offering you that type of thing. So you see it's just working away, doing its thing. Maybe it's a good blog post, maybe it's not. But by contrast, Logos is doing just one thing, and it is helping you search your library. And I think this can be really helpful. You just got to know that they're two different things. One of the advantages of this system is you can know where you're pulling information from, so you can trust the answers much more. ChatGPT is going to give you a more final product, right? Like answers that are done, stuff that is prepared that you could just go ahead and use. But you wouldn't really be able to trust it, and that's also not going to be a good process for you with the Bible, because the actual work of studying the Bible and being in the Bible is something that we want to do. So if we're Sunday school teachers, if we're pastors, if we are just reading the Bible, for our own devotional use, we want to actually be in the Bible reading it. And I think by using this format that Logos has, they've avoided that kind of shortcut of skipping past the Bible into the answers that you can find in ChatGPT. And I think that's probably going to be something that most people find more beneficial than it is, missing out on features. I also think a lot of the work when you use Study Assistant is going to be pulling you to those resources. So you click on that link and you think about it, or you look to explore more in what you're finding. So at the end of the day, this is a pretty nice update. It definitely eats up your AI credits a lot faster if you having a conversation going through. But it is a good enhancement, and there's a few ways to get it. So one I showed you was you can find it right here in the Study Assistant. Another way you can do it is in the search itself. So if you ask a question here, and you can't do this with the Bible, so let's go to a book search. And so Jesus in the Old Testament, this will work. And you can see right now I have it selected to kind of some commentaries that I find more theological trustworthy. And so it's searching those commentaries. All right, and this question gave a little bit of a creative answer. I like this. I like how they have this kind of list format, which is nice, not just the paragraph. I also like how they pulled from 5 sources. So this is the kind of thing I wish they would do in every answer. It just makes it much more useful. And so you can see that this is just a typical Smart Search AI answer, but the addition here is we have to continue in Study Assistant. So that's going to pop up in the study, and we can look through and we can dive in a little more. What about in Genesis? And this is a pretty nice opening sentence, and I do like how Smart Search is kind of putting together, pretty useful wording on the answers to the questions. Jesus is profoundly present in Genesis, even before his earthly incarnation. It's a pretty good summary answer, and then they're going to go in to give you some more details. And so you see that is another way to get to Study Assistant is when you're in Smart Search, you're searching, and then you just do continue in Study Assistant. And then there's one last way, and we can see that in our fact book, and it's a pretty neat feature they've added, and that's questions to ask. And so if you open up this section, they're going to have AI-generated questions, which is pretty cool. So even if you don't have a lot of resources on any particular topic, you're always going to have something that is like pulling up, to dig deeper, no matter where you go. What does Saul's story teach about obedience? Pretty good question, similar to some of the ones we've been asking. And you see it's going to provide an answer here. And so we've got it in the same format as if we had just asked this exact question in the Smart Search. I believe that this is whenever it does it, it pulls it from the store instead of your actual resources. I wish you could change this setting. I don't think you can, so that it would search your library instead of the Logos store for resources that you don't own. But let's go ahead and ask a follow-up question. Contrast him with David. And you see it recognized that we're talking about Saul. Let's see if we can get it to do a list contrasting, see if it'll change the format for us and give us a different answer. And then kind of just expanding where you could search a little bit more. Let's think that we were doing a devotional. What are some themes I could use in a devotional on this topic? All right, so it couldn't answer this. It's too close to creating the devotional. So if I just ask the same questions, but without a devotional, that should be themes, not theme. And you see, interestingly enough, it actually made these devotional themes. So as you can see, Faith Life was pretty careful to try to keep this from becoming an auto-write for you. And in this case, my question of devotional themes was a bit too close to something they had prevented the AI from doing. But as we get more into what they're trying to do, research assistance on themes that you could look into, they were able to provide us a better answer. So there you go. That's a look at the new Study Assistant. And it's a good example of the type of stuff Logos has been putting out over the last year and that I'm looking forward to getting more of in the coming year. So for me, Logos is 100% still worth it, and I would heartily recommend. If you're interested in checking it out, I've dropped a link in the description that comes with a free extended trial. So go ahead and try that and see if it works for you too. Anyways, thanks, God bless, and enjoy working to understand the Bible a little bit better, no matter what tools you're using.